Hello, I'm John Weiler with the Sovereign Passage Assembly, and this is our daily brief for January 17th, 2019. Today we're going to finish out with our study of Parashat YAHUAH, which means "and I appeared." We're going to be reading chapter 9. Yesterday we left Mosheh and Aharon and Pharaoh and the people of Mitsrayim under the judgments or plagues, how it's put to us in the different versions of his word. But we talked about how they were directly targeting the gods, the false gods, what we look at as false gods, because there's only one, but the authority that people were putting on their spiritual worship. And there's three that were brought up specifically. One was frogs, lice, and flies. And we talked about those three and how they were associated with the Egyptian gods and goddesses, and how the authority is being presented to the world that those do not profit. Okay, those bring death. The following the worship, the living your lives for something other than YAHUAH. So that is what we are witnessing now, and there will be more in these particular judgments today that we're reading, but we're not going to focus on the authority over the false things of our lives, okay? The false things of the Mitsrayim, okay, the gods that they were worshiping and that they were praying to. We're gonna focus on some other things, but that's really what we did yesterday. And the information on the for these judgments and who specifically they correlate to will be up on the Sovereign Passage website. So our daily briefs, just to touch on this lightly, our daily briefs are designed to take the readings of the portions of the Torah, the Parshas, break those down, and throughout the week we study them. That way our daily moments, we have the way of YAHUAH on the forefront of our mind at all times. So when we come to the knowledge of the truth and we accept the gift of the Mashiach given to us by YAHUAH, we enter in then through the door. He's our door. And then we walk the path that Mashiach tells us is narrow and troublesome. Okay, and it's troublesome again, not because the path is troublesome, but because we make it troublesome. So we're called out of the world. We're called to separate ourselves, and we're reading it right here. We're reading, this group of Yasharel being drawn out of the world, and it's the same thing that's occurring to us right now. So with that, we have to separate ourselves from the things that we've always known and the life that we've always known. And in many cases, if not all cases, the people that we used to know. And that's all going to happen naturally if we stay single on the way of YAHUAH. If we wake up in the morning and the first thing we do is to go to His Word, and throughout His day we come back to His Word, and then before we go to bed at night we end our day in His Word. That's going to naturally happen because it's just the world, the life, the people, the things, they're incompatible with the way of YAHUAH. So just to kind of touch on that's the purpose here of these daily briefs, is to break down what we will be going over on Shabbat with our families or with our friends or alone, but to pull it into our daily lives and give us something more to consider as we go about through our moments when we interact with the unbeliever, to where we have circumcised lips versus the uncircumcised, and speaking the way that we used to speak, and thinking and then acting the way that we used to act. So we'll have the information up that we were speaking about yesterday with the authority over the items of worship of this time, and how really it relates to the items of worship that we have today. But let's get back into the Torah. We'll start here with chapter 9, and we're in Shemot, or Exodus, chapter 9. Let's read it, and then we'll talk about it. Then YAHUAH said unto Moshe, Go in unto Pharaoh, and tell him, Thus says YAHUAH Elohai of the Ephraim, Let my people go, that they may serve me. For if you refuse to let them go, and will hold them still, behold, the hand of YAHUAH is upon your cattle, which is in the field, upon the horses, and upon the asses, and upon the camels, upon the oxen, and upon the sheep. There shall be a very grievous pestilence. And YAHUAH shall sever between the cattle of Yasharel and the cattle of Mitsrayim, and there shall nothing die of all that is the children of Yasharel. And YAHUAH appointed a set time, saying, Tomorrow YAHUAH shall do this thing in the land. And YAHUAH did that thing on the morrow, and all the cattle of Mitsrayim died, but of the cattle of the children of Yasharel died not one. And Pharaoh sent, and behold, there was not one of the cattle of Yasharel dead. And the heart of Pharaoh was hardened, and he did not let the people go. And YAHUAH said unto Moshe and unto Aharon, Take to you handfuls of ashes of the furnace, and let Moshe sprinkle it towards the heavens in the sight of Pharaoh. And it shall become small dust in all the land of Mitsrayim, and shall be a boil breaking forth with blains upon men, and upon beasts throughout all the land of Mitsrayim. And they took ashes of the furnace and stood before Pharaoh, and Moshe sprinkled it up towards the heavens, and it became a boil breaking forth with blains upon man and upon beasts. And the magicians could not stand before Moshe because of the boils, for the boil was upon the magicians and upon all the Mitsrayim. And YAHUAH hardened the heart of Pharaoh, and he hearkened not unto them, as YAHUAH had spoken unto Moshe. And YAHUAH said unto Moshe, Rise up early in the morning, and stand before Pharaoh, and say unto him, Thus says YAHUAH Elohai of the Ephraim, Let my people go, that they may serve me. For I will at this time send all of my plagues upon your heart, and upon your servants, and upon your people, that you may know that there is none like me in all the earth. For now I will stretch out my hand, and I will smite you and your people with pestilence, and you shall be cut off from the earth. And in very deed for this cause have I raised you up, for to show in you my power, and that my name may be declared throughout all the earth. As yet exalt you yourself against my people, that you will not let them go. Behold, tomorrow about this time I will cause it to rain a very grievous hail, such as has not been in Mitsrayim since the foundation thereof, even until now. Send therefore now and gather your cattle in all that you have in the field, for upon every man and beast which shall be found in the field, and shall not be brought home, the hail shall come down upon them, and they shall die. He that feared the word of YAHUAH among the servants of Pharaoh made his servants and his cattle flee into the houses. And he that regarded not the word of YAHUAH left his servants and his cattle in the field. And YAHUAH said unto Moshe, Stretch forth your hand towards the heavens, that there may be hail in all the land of Mitsrayim, upon man and upon beast and upon every herb of the field throughout the land of Mitsrayim. And Moshe stretched forth his rod towards the heavens. And YAHUAH sent thunder and hail, and fire ran along upon the ground. And YAHUAH rained hail upon the land of Mitsrayim. So there was hail and fire mingled with the hail, very grievous, such as there was none like it in the land of Mitsrayim since it became a nation. And the hail smote throughout all the land of Mitsrayim, all that was in the field, both man and beast. And the hail smote every herb in the field, and broke every tree of the field. Only in the land of Goshen, where the children of Yasharel were, there was no hail. And Pharaoh sent and called for Mosheh and Aharon, and said unto them, I have sinned this time. YAHUAH is righteous, and I and my people are wicked. Entreat YAHUAH, for it is enough, that there be no more mighty thunderings and hail, and I will let you go, and ye shall stay no longer. And Moshe said unto him, As soon as I am gone out of the city, I will spread abroad my hands unto YAHUAH, and the thunder shall cease, neither shall there be any more hail, that you may know how the earth is YAHUAH's. For as for you and your servants, I know that ye will not yet fear YAHUAH Elohim. And the flax and the barley was smitten, and the barley was in the ear, and the flax was bold. But the wheat and the rye were not smitten, for they were not grown up. And Mosheh went out of the city of Pharaoh, and spread abroad his hands unto YAHUAH, and the thunders and hails ceased, and the rain was not poured upon the earth. And when Pharaoh saw that the rain and the hail and the thunders were ceased, he sinned yet more, and hardened his heart and his servants. And the heart of Pharaoh was hardened, neither would he let the children of Yasharel go, as YAHUAH had spoken by Mosheh. Okay, that's the end of our Parsha study here for this week. But what we see here, what we left Pharaoh yesterday, was that Mosheh did go to YAHUAH and entreated to YAHUAH for Pharaoh to remove the swarms of the flies. And Pharaoh had said, "Yeah, I will. I'll let you guys go, but you can't go all the way. As far as you want to go, but I'll let you go. Okay, I don't want you to go so far." And then Mosheh says, "Well, okay, I will. I'll entreat YAHUAH, but don't deal deceitfully anymore, not letting the people go." But that's what he did. And then YAHUAH says in the beginning of 9, unto Mosheh, "Go unto Pharaoh and tell him, thus says YAHUAH Elohai of the Ephraim." Okay, thus says, he's going in the name of YAHUAH Elohai of the Ephraim. "Let my people go, that they may serve me. And if you refuse to let them go, and will hold them still, behold, the hand of YAHUAH." Okay, the hand of YAHUAH is upon your cattle, which is in the field, upon the horses, upon the asses, upon the camels, upon the oxen, upon the sheep, and there shall be a very grievous pestilence. Okay, the hand of YAHUAH is going to be on your possessions, all right, what was of value to you. But he said, "I'm going to separate the possessions, the cattle, the livestock of Yasharel from the livestock of the Mitsrayim. And nothing is going to die of theirs, because they are my chosen people." And then he said, "Tomorrow, this is going to happen." Okay? And then he did. And all the cattle of Mitsrayim died, but all the cattle of Yasharel did not. And then Pharaoh sent people out and said, "Hey, go check that." And then he saw that none of the Yasharel's children or cattle had died. But Pharaoh's heart was still hardened and did not let the people go. All throughout these, it states that Pharaoh's heart was hardened. Heart was hardened. Now, we look at this, or can look at this, like he's being set up, in a sense, by YAHUAH to just receive this punishment. But that's not the case. The next judgment is the boils, where he says to Mosheh and unto Aharon, "Let Mosheh sprinkle it towards the heavens." So to grab some ashes and throw them up in the air, and then they become boils that break forth with blains, so sores upon man and upon beasts throughout the land. And Mosheh does these now, so that's where we see Mosheh being the ones to execute these judgments now. All right, so Aharon was up to a point. And then when the flies, so Aharon was up to the lice, okay, the judgment of the lice. But then after that, it was Mosheh, okay, for the flies, for the death of the livestock, the possessions, the loss of possession, and now the boils with sores. And what it says here is that the magicians cannot stand before Mosheh because of the boils, for the boils upon the magicians and upon all the Mitsrayim. Okay, so the wise people of this, the nations could not stand before Mosheh, who is coming in the name of YAHUAH. And they were covered with sores, all right? And then YAHUAH hardened the heart of Pharaoh again, and did not hearken unto Mosheh and Aharon and YAHUAH. Okay, and this is again what is reiterated to us, is as YAHUAH had spoken to Mosheh. And then the last here was hail that we talk about, and it is a supernatural hail, but it's ice with fire. Okay, so water and fire together. But this is done here to show the authority of YAHUAH as the creator of all things, in the sense that can do the seemingly impossible to men. All right, because that's what we're told through Mashiach, is that men, all things are impossible. But with YAHUAH, all things are possible. So the point here is he tells Moshe to go and stand before Pharaoh, let Yashruel go. And he says, "For I will at this time, now, send all my plagues upon your heart, and upon your servants and upon your people, that you may know that there's none like me in all the earth." Okay, so we talked yesterday about how this is directly affronting the things of worship of this people of this time. Okay, so everything that's occurring here correlates to something that is being worshipped by the people, so that you may know that there's none like me in all the earth. For now I will stretch out my hand, that I may smite you and your people with pestilence, and you shall be cut off from the earth. Mitsrayim was brought to power, or really given great power and authority in the region because of Elohim, through Yosef. Okay, when Yosef was raised up by Elohim to preserve life. And in the process of that, Mitsrayim, the Pharaoh of that time, acquired great wealth and land and people. So then authority or power. But that was all through Yosef from Elohim. So what's happening now is, because of the situation of the people, of the leadership of this nation, it's being taken back. Okay, so what was given is now being taken back, and the people of that YAHUAH has chosen is being drawn out. So he says that I will stretch out my hand again, and I will smite you and your people with pestilence, and you shall be cut off from the earth. And in very deed for this cause have I raised you up, speaking to Pharaoh, and, what will be the people too, for to show in you my power, and that my name may be declared throughout all the earth. So we look here where we talk about, well, Pharaoh seems to be set up, and it's nothing that he can do because YAHUAH keeps hardening his heart, but that's not the case. Because verse 17 says, "As yet you exalt yourself against my people, that you will not let them go." The question is, so why do you keep exalting yourself against my people, that you will not let them go? Pharaoh has a choice. He just doesn't want it. He doesn't want that choice. He wants the authority and wants the control over the people. He does not want to let them go. And in doing so, because of that choice, YAHUAH emboldens him, harden his heart. The same thing is for us. We can either love the way of YAHUAH and strive to be the fulfillment of the Torah as our Mashiach, to walk as he walked. We can throw ourselves headlong into this, and that's our choice, with the desire of our heart, the desire of our Ruach. And then YAHUAH will embolden us. We're told that we get the Comforter, right? That he will provide the Comforter, which is Ruach HaKodesh. And then the Spirit of Amos, Spirit of Truth, and Chokmah, which is wisdom and understanding through his word, and we'll be able to speak words of healing. Okay, the rivers of water that Mashiach says. So we can do that. We can choose that. Or we can choose what Pharaoh's choosing here, is to be contrary and to rebel against the word of YAHUAH, and then our hearts would be emboldened with that. We see that now with everybody that we come into contact with, because praise YAHUAH, through the Ruach HaKodesh, we see the truth. And then we understand, what it means to walk as the Mashiach walked, to walk in the ways of YAHUAH, or we're coming to a better understanding. That might be a better way to put that. Day by day, because we wake up in his word, we read and come back to his word throughout the day, and then we go to bed in his word. So we are immersing ourselves in the word, the way, the name of YAHUAH, and then we're in the process of that being sanctified, because we're being sanctified by the truth, Yah's word. The word of YAHUAH is truth. And then we have our Comforter, the Ruach HaKodesh, which will be dwelling within us to where we're Yakad, our one, beloved ones. So we see the things here that are causing the blockages, okay, the uncircumcision, all right, as that's put, but the blockages between the being fruitful in the way of YAHUAH, are the blockages, period, of the way of YAHUAH. Okay, we can look around us and see our people there, our people that we have come out of, that hold on to idols, and they hold on to the belief that life is going to get better here for them, and continuing on the way that they have with worship of the things that are not of YAHUAH. And we can look and see, that's not the way, but we can see how their hearts are hardened. Many of us, I know I have tried to talk to people like that in the beginning. Okay, when we were coming out of that, really at a time where we shouldn't have been speaking ourselves. But again, it's all part of our learning process, because we would have spoke and did speak with uncircumcised lips to those who are uncircumcised. Okay, just to use the analogy from the word of YAHUAH. Okay, the ones that had the blockage, and we would still be speaking, in essentially the same language, and cause great harm, more so or not. That's what I did, and I didn't realize it. And that's one of the reasons that we have these discussions today, because when we come out of the world, we have one teacher, which is Mashiach. So we're no longer to be called rabbi, our teachers. Okay, he tells us that. We have one, that's Mashiach. So we look to the word of YAHUAH on how to react in our moments and how for us ourselves to live our lives. And we have one master, which is El Shaddai. And we have one shepherd, which is Mashiach. Okay, one fold. So we have none of these other things that we need to be, people that we need to be listening to and following after, who are telling us about the word of YAHUAH. It's now up to us to go to the word of YAHUAH. So at some point, as we're talking here, you're going to stop watching these videos, you yourself, if you remain in the way of YAHUAH, because you will then be the one with the living water, and you will go forth now with the rivers of healing, okay, the words of healing of YAHUAH, through the Ruach HaKodesh. That's how it goes. And that's the purpose here of this assembly, is if you are coming out and you have the Babel, the confusion inside, the confusion of the Ruach, as you're aligning yourself spiritually on the way of YAHUAH, this will help make up some time into what's being told here. But ultimately, it's up to you to get in His Word and assimilate it into your life, all right, as you pull yourself away from the life that you used to know. So here, what we see, though, is we can look around and see, the people that are raised up in the world to show the glory of YAHUAH, but they all have a choice, all right? Pharaoh had a choice, is as you exalt yourself against my people, that you will not let them go. And it says, behold, tomorrow there's going to be a judgment because of that. There's a consequence for everything, is really what our takeaway is here. Okay, and what we see throughout the rest of it here is there is a supernatural hail that comes down. We could read about it in Kizayon or Revelation. There'll be something similar to that again. But how we live today is we live by spirit and truth. Okay, so Mashiach tells us that YAHUAH wants people to worship Him or live in spirit and truth, Ruach and truth. So truth is the word of YAHUAH, the way of YAHUAH. Okay, so we live this word. We lived as the Mashiach, walk as the Mashiach walked, lived as He lived, and then we walk in the ways of YAHUAH, which is living our lives according to His instructions, His Torah. But that also means to learn it. There are things that we don't do because Mashiach has picked up, or will pick up, the rod. He has now defeated I'll say defeated is the word that we can get, but the accuser. Okay, the accuser's thrown out of Shemayim, or heaven, the heavens, and the Lamb. So the propitiation of Yeshua HaMashiach, the Messiah, is our Passover lamb. That's our covering. So we enter in through the door through the blood of Mashiach. So now, because of that, we are living in this span of time where we can have the full realization of the Torah. Okay, the full realization of the way of YAHUAH as we repent. Okay, that's repentance, remission of sins. There is a set number, all right, in creation that we're told through His Word. There's a set number of people that will correlate to the times, okay, and the times of the return now of our Mashiach, okay, when He picks up that rod that we've been talking about here last Parsha and up to this Parsha, okay, where the Kohens had thrown that down, became a serpent. And that's what we see this world today, all right, the worship of the devil or devils. But the Mashiach will return and pick that rod back up of authority, and it'll be a rod of iron. All right. But in the meantime, we have the truth and the gift of Mashiach, of repentance, being able to come back into that repentance that we can now take. We can choose to make that choice to take, and then by doing so, come out of the world. So we're seeing Moshe as the one who is delivering these judgments, okay, here in the Torah portion of the Parsha that we're reading. Moshe is the one that's delivering these things. The authority of YAHUAH comes through Moshe, okay, and that's what we study is the Torah. Moshe is Torah, okay, Moshe, the instructions of YAHUAH given through Moshe. So that is the authority, though, all right? So we're told in the letter to the Romans, which we're going to read here now, that those who do not live without the Torah or without the knowledge of the Torah will die, okay, without the Torah, the way of YAHUAH. And then those who have the knowledge of the Torah will be judged by the Torah. Okay, so we know, and we're going to be learning here, that there's a blessing and a curse to the way of YAHUAH. The blessing is life. Okay, and Moshe, YAHUAH through Moshe tells us to choose life. Okay, that's the blessing. The curse is death. Okay, and the curse is death here, because then we are now pulled into the darkness of the world physically, which is death, and it's really, really hard, and everything is terrible. It's like a nightmare. We have woke up from a nightmare we didn't realize that we were in. Okay, us today. But that's what it is. That's the curse, what's called the curse of the Torah, but it's death. And then, when this life is over, we will be separated from YAHUAH in the outer darkness. Okay, the separation of YAHUAH. And that's death. Okay? So that's the curse. And Mashiach took that curse for us. That's the propitiation, the death. All right? And then we can enter in back into relationship through the blood, the death of YAHUAH, and the resurrection to be the bride of the Lamb, so we can come back into that marriage relationship to life, to accept the blessings. But let's go here. So we have the authority of Moshe of the Torah. All right, that's now presenting itself to the world. So the authority of YAHUAH, the way of YAHUAH, the name of YAHUAH. Okay, so let's go to Romans, and whenever we read any of these epistles, which are letters, we can no longer look at the word of Yah like we used to look at the word of Yah if this is how we did it, or that we see others now doing. We can't just take sentences to fit a feel-good message that we're looking to throw out there to people. Okay, when we're saying when we were or others were at the time that we were living in the darkness of peace, when there is no peace. Okay, so we stopped doing that. But let's go, when we read these letters, we have to read coming up to the points that we're discussing here, which are relating back to the Torah that we're studying, because that's what all this is, all right? The whole word of YAHUAH, as we know now, is the way of Yah. It's how to be holy as He is holy. And then how now today we come back into the relationship. we today come back into relationship. Okay, so let's start in Romans chapter 1:1. Paul, a servant of Yahushua HaMashiach, called to be an apostle, separated unto the Besorah of YAHUAH, which he had promised afore by his prophets in the Holy Scriptures, concerning his son Yahushua HaMashiach, our Adonai, which was made of the seed of David, according to the flesh, and declared to be son of Elohim with power, according to the Ruach HaKodesh, by the resurrection of the dead, by whom we have received grace and apostleship for obedience to the belief among all nations for his name, among whom are ye also the called of Yahushua HaMashiach. To all that be in Rome, beloved of YAHUAH, called to be Kodeshim, grace to you and peace from YAHUAH our Father and the Adonai Yahushua HaMashiach. First, I thank my Yah through Yahushua HaMashiach for you all, that your belief is spoken of throughout the whole world. For YAHUAH is my witness, whom I serve with my Ruach in the Besorah of his Son, that without ceasing I make mention of you always in my prayers, making request, if by any means now at length I might have a prosperous journey by the will of YAHUAH to come unto you. For I long to see you, that I may impart unto you some spiritual gift, to the end ye may become established. That is, that I may be comforted together with you by the mutual belief, both of you and me. Now I would not have you ignorant, brethren, that oftentimes I purposed to come unto you, but was let hitherto, that I might have some fruit among you also, even as among the other nations. I am a debtor both to the Yavanim and to the barbarians, both to the wise and to the unwise. So as much as is in me, I am ready to preach the Besorah to you that are at Rome also. For I am not ashamed of the Besorah of Mashiach, for it is the power of Yah unto salvation to everyone that believes, to the Yahudi first, and also to the Yavani. For therein is the righteousness of Yah, revealed from belief to belief, as it is written, the just shall live by belief. For the wrath of Yah is revealed from heaven against all wickedness and unrighteousness of men, who hold the truth in unrighteousness. Because that which may be known of Yah is manifest in them, for YAHUAH has showed it unto them. For from the creation of the world, the invisible things of Yah are clearly seen, being understood by things that are made, even his eternal power and divinity, so that they are without excuse. Because that, when they knew YAHUAH, they glorified him not as YAHUAH, neither were thankful, but became vain in their imaginations, and their foolish heart was darkened. Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools, and changed the glory of the incorruptible Yah into an image made like to corruptible man, and to birds, and to four-footed beasts, and to creeping things. Wherefore YAHUAH also gave them up to uncleanness through the lusts of their own hearts, to dishonor their bodies between themselves, who changed the truth of Yah into a lie, and worshipped and served the creature more than the Creator, who is blessed forever. Amen. For this cause Yah gave them up to vile affections, for even their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature, and likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the women, burned in their lust towards one another. Men with men working that which is unseemly, and receiving in themselves that recompense of their error which was meet. And even as they did not like to retain Yah in their knowledge, YAHUAH gave them over to a reprobate mind, to do those things which is not convenient, being filled with all unrighteousness, fornication, wickedness, covetousness, maliciousness, full of envy, murder, debate, deceit, malignity, whisperers, backbiters, haters of Yah, despiteful, proud, boasters, inventors of evil things, disobedient to parents, without understanding, covenant breakers, without natural affection, implacable, unmerciful, who knowing the judgment of Yah, that they which commit such things are worthy of death, not only do the same, but have pleasure in them that do them. Praise Yah that we have come out of that. Thank you, YAHUAH, for bringing us out of that. And thank you for opening our ears and our eyes to you through your word. Because all that list right there is us. It is us. It still is in many ways. And that's what we are struggling greatly to come out of. And we have to be completely immersed in the Word to come out of that list of the things of wickedness. All right, and that's not the complete list either, by the way. But what we see here is the wrath of Yah in verse 18 is revealed from heaven, Shemaim, against all the wickedness and unrighteousness of men who hold the truth in unrighteousness. Okay, the truth, the way of YAHUAH is truth in unrighteousness, who look upon the way of YAHUAH as foolishness, okay, or not the right way. So the wrath of Yah that we're studying right now in the Exodus, okay, it is here now. It is here. We are in the last times, and we've been in the last times since Mashiach ascended. But the plagues, I guess, or the judgments that we see in Ki Zion, to pinpoint those, that's very challenging. All right, so it could be like as to what point in our history have these things occurred, or will they still occur? So the point is, and what we discussed yesterday, is that our time is always at hand. All right, so either we're just single in the way of YAHUAH and we just walk in this world and always keeping our eye on the light, so that we are the light now, so we project the light, and that we speak words of healing, then our thoughts are all of healing, as opposed to the things that those who do not like to retain Yah in their knowledge, from verse 28 to 32. Okay, we do not want to be given over to a reprobate mind to do things that are not convenient. Okay, we don't want to be filled with all those things that are being stated right there. All right, especially after knowing the truth. Okay. All right, so continuing on, chapter 2 says, "Therefore you are inexcusable, O man, whosoever you are that judge, for wherein you judge another, you condemn yourself, for you that judge do the same things." All right, just to interject, that's what we're discussing right now. So we're coming out, and yes, we know the way, but we're not living the way. All right, we are not the completion or the fulfillment of the Torah. So that's what we're striving to do, okay, through the word of Yah, but we are the ones that do the same things. Now we have to be very cautious here as we look to other people who are in where we used to be. And remember that we did not know where we were. Okay, we did not know that we were in prison, in the darkness, that we were dead already. We had no clue. In fact, we thought we were alive and living well. So, when we look at others, we have to remain humble. But if we stay single in the way of Yah, we will be that way. All right, so we have to really internalize these words and look at ourselves and be honest with ourselves where we're at right now, today. Okay, so verse 2 says, "But we are sure that the judgment of Yah is according to truth against them who commit such things. And think you this, O man, that judge them which do such things and do the same, that you shall escape the judgment of Yah. Or despise you the riches of his goodness and forbearance and long-suffering, not knowing that the goodness of Yah leads you to repentance? But after your hardness and impenitent heart treasured up unto yourself wrath against the day of wrath, and revelation of the righteous judgment of Yah, who will render to every man according to his deeds, to them who by patient continuance in well-doing seek the glory and honor and immortality, eternal life. But unto them that are contentious, and do not obey the truth, but obey unrighteousness, indignation and wrath, tribulation and anguish upon every soul of man that does evil, of the Yahudi first, and also of the other nations. But glory, honor, and peace to every man that works good, to the Yahudi first, and also to the other nations. For there is no respect of persons with Yah. For as many as have sinned without Torah shall also perish without Torah, and as many have sinned in the Torah shall be judged by the Torah. For not the hearers of the Torah are just before Yah, but the doers of the Torah shall be justified. For when the other nations, which have not the Torah, do by nature the things contained in the Torah, these having not the Torah are a Torah unto themselves, which show the works of the Torah written in their hearts, their conscience also bearing witness, and their thoughts the meanwhile accusing or else excusing one another. And the day when YAHUAH shall judge the secrets of men by Yahushua HaMashiach according to my Besorah, behold, you are called a Yehudi, and rest in the Torah, and make your boast of YAHUAH, and know his will, and approve the things that are more excellent, being instructed out of the Torah, and are confident that you yourself are a guide of the blind, a light of them which are in the darkness, an instructor of the foolish, a teacher of babes, which have the form of knowledge and of the truth in the Torah. You therefore, which teach another, teach you not yourself. You that preach a man should not steal, do you steal? You that say a man should not break wedlock, do you break wedlock? You that abhor idols, do you commit sacrilege? You that make your boast of the Torah, through breaking the Torah do you dishonor YAHUAH. For the name of YAHUAH is blaspheming among the other nations through you, as it is written. For circumcision truly profits if you keep the Torah. But if you be a breaker of the Torah, your circumcision is made uncircumcision. Therefore, if the uncircumcision guards the statutes of the Torah, shall not his uncircumcision be counted for circumcision? And shall not uncircumcision which is by nature, if it fulfills the Torah, judge you, who with the scripture and circumcision do transgress the Torah? For he is not a Yehudi, which is one outwardly, neither is that circumcision, which is outward in the flesh, but he is a Yehudi, which is one inwardly, and the circumcision that is of the heart, in the Ruach, and not in the letter, whose praise is not of men, but of YAHUAH. Okay, so he's writing directly to those who know the way. It seems, okay, it seems to be that way. Who know and have been instructed in the way of YAHUAH. But he's also speaking to us, because now we're being instructed in the way of YAHUAH. Okay? So we can't look at ourselves as going back. If we call ourselves a Torah keeper or Torah observant, what does that really mean? It means that we're observing the way of YAHUAH, right? But how are we observing it? Are we observing it by the letter? Are we going back and we are, all of everything is that we do is in of the 5 books of Pentateuch, okay, the 5 books of Mosheh? Or are we accepting the gift of the Mashiach and learning from our teacher and our shepherd and becoming part of the one fold, which is the Word made flesh? So how are we fulfilling the Torah? Okay, so our uncircumcision becoming circumcision. How are we doing that? So we have the way, and we are called to be doers of the Torah. But how are we approaching the Torah or the instructions of YAHUAH? Are we approaching it through faith in the Mashiach? Okay? And what I mean by that is, are we looking at how the Mashiach implemented the instructions of YAHUAH? How he taught us how to live? Because it is by spirit and truth. We follow the way. We observe the days and the seasons and the times. We do that. We keep our covenant, the 10 Devarim. But everything else that is given to the people that we're going to be studying, there are many things that we cannot do according to what was given to this generation that's being drawn out of Mitsrayim of Yasharel. Because we see it through our Mashiach. And now we enter into our relationship through our door, who is the Mashiach. That doesn't mean we transgress the Torah by any means. We embrace it and we live it. We become doers of it. But we understand the relationship that is given to us through Yahushua HaMashiach and how to implement and live our lives and how it was supposed to have been in the beginning, okay, when it was first given, that we're going to be studying here soon, but first given to this group of called out who never accepted it, okay, never lived it. So, we have the beginning here of chapter 2 with, do we judge others and by the same things that we're doing today? Do we look at what we call the unbeliever as, somebody that's, you're going out and you're stealing, and you're going out and you're being adulterer, breaking wedlock, And are you an idolater? And all these things. But are we still doing the same things? Do we murder with our words still? Okay? Are we going out and trying to beat people over the head where we used to live and how we used to be, that this is the truth, who have no desire for it? No desire for it. Are we going after the lost sheep of the house of Yashroel by doing that? Are we heeding the words of Mashiach? Okay? By doing that. So, where this is spoken to those of this time who were raised in the Torah that understood it, but we are also being raised in the Torah to where we understand it. And how do we put it into practice? Okay, so it's for not the hearers of the Torah just before Yah, but the doers of the Torah shall be justified. The culmination, as we will read in this letter, that the totality or the completeness of the Torah, the fulfillment, is love. The fulfillment of the Torah is love. So when we love, we don't love ourselves. Okay? We love YAHUAH through Yahushua HaMashiach. So now we give our life to YAHUAH. We have no idols. We don't take his name in vain because we are immersed in it. We wake up and our entire day is around his word. And then we have the Ruach HaKodesh that is our springs of living water, his words now, coming out. And then we love. We draw near to him on Shabbat. We rest. Okay, we draw nearer to him. We honor our father and our mother. We both here on this earth, and we have a better understanding of what the father and mother is through his word. And then we love others as ourselves. Okay, everything is love because we're not focused on ourselves anymore. All right, so all the stuff that's being said here is if we're elevating ourselves. All right, we have one teacher, we have one master, we have one shepherd, and it's Mashiach, our Father in heaven. Okay, so it says here, for as many as sin without Torah shall also perish without the Torah, and as many as sin in the Torah shall be judged by the Torah. So for not the hearers of the Torah just before Yah, but the doers of the Torah are justified. Okay, and we're seeing this now in practice, okay, physically being played out with the authority of Mosheh, that be giving these judgments over Mitsrayim. Okay, the judgments over Mitsrayim. Okay, let's finish out here today. There's still judgments to be had going into next week's Parsha. And then we will talk about when that rod is picked up by our Mashiach next week. But I wanted to end out here with our thought process of not following through completely in our task that we are assuming by being followers or disciples, Talmudim, of our Mashiach. Okay. The consequences of accepting something but not coming all the way, not going all the way. So these are things that we have to consider as we can hear the voice of our shepherd. We hear YAHUAH calling to us from the foundation of the world through Yahushua HaMashiach, and then we turn to respond. All right. So there are very important obligations then that we are assuming by doing so. So let's go to Baruk, and some of you may or may not have this, okay, in your word. We read from the Et Sefer, which is a very good compilation of the word of YAHUAH that has been, I don't know, adapted is not the right word, but taken. The Torah is the same, okay, the way of Yah that we have up to this point, but the additional writings and the additions of the prophets have been, additional writings have been taken away and added to, or brought back in, I guess, not really added to, but brought back into the compilated scriptures based on where you are geographically or what group you're affiliated with, and so on and so forth. So whatever is thought to have been canonized, or the legal scriptures, okay, or what is considered scripture. Now again, when we read, we study the Torah so we know the truth, right? His word, the Torah, the instructions of Yah is the truth, because that is Yah. Okay? That's the name of Yah. So we study that before we do anything else, all right? And everything else that comes to that is just to point us back to the way of Yah, which is us becoming holy as He is holy. So everything that we read, we need to read with discernment. But that discernment comes from the Torah. Okay? It comes from knowing the way of YAHUAH, all right, and being sanctified. So being immersed in the Word, where our entire life is the way of Yah now. Everything is. That goes above work. It goes above family. It goes above everything. And we're told that through Mashiach. And that's part of the obligation we assume by hearkening to His words. All right, so that's when we have that, when we're immersed in His Word, then we have a sanctified vessel, because we're sanctified through the truth. Your word is truth, what Mashiach prays, John 17:17. Then we have the Ruach HaKodesh. We have our comforter, we have our guide, okay? So then we can speak the words, all right? And we will be guided through the words. You will be guided through the words. If you're watching here now and still coming to the knowledge of the truth, you immerse yourself in the Word, and you are seeking, you're asking, and you're knocking, and all the things that you're looking for through the Word will be given to you. I can tell you that for a fact, all right, because it has been for me. I have had no desire for this, all right, my entire life. And now, just it's seemingly to me, out of the blue, here I am. This is all that I have desire for. Praise YAHUAH. Okay, so let's go to Baruk. We're going to read through the end of 15. We're going to start at chapter 13 and at chapter 15. And what we're talking about here is Baruk is with the prophets that were alive and around the time of the fall of Yerushalayim. So like Jeremiah, Yirmiyahu, Adu, Sariahu, Yavish, Gadolayahu. What's being said is the honorable men of the people. Baruk, when this Baruk begins, he is called by Yahweh to get him out of the city. And then as the city is being, it's the army of the Chassidim surrounds the city, and Baruk, they're outside, they see it, but what he sees are 4 angels standing at the corners of the city, and another one comes down, and the one that comes down says, hang on, hold your lamps, and don't light them till I tell you, for I'm sent to speak the word to the earth, and to place in it that what Yahweh Zebaoth has commanded me. And then Baruk sees this angel coming down, descend into the Holy of Holies, and take away the veil, the holy ark, the mercy seat, and the 2 tables, and the holy raiment of the priests, and the altar, and the incense, and 48 precious stones, wherewith the priest was adorned, and all the holy vessels of the tabernacle. And he spoke to the earth with a loud voice, Earth, 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 hear the word of El Elohim, and receive what I commit to you, and guard them until the last times, so that when you are ordered, you may restore them, so that strangers may not get possession of them. For the time comes when Yerushalayim also will be delivered for a time. And it is said that it is again restored forever. And then the earth opened its mouth and swallowed them up. Okay, so all the holy objects, okay, were taken away. So he sees all that, and then he sees the angels throw down the walls. Okay, so it wasn't the armies of the Chassidim that surrounded the city that destroyed it. It was Yahweh who gave it over to them because of the actions, the spiritual direction of the Yahudim. All right, so this is something for us. So we are seeing the wrath. What's put to us is the wrath, okay? Just read about that in Romans. But we're seeing the judgments that Yahweh takes through Mosheh and Aharon on Mitsrayim, the world. These same things are going to be happening. They're happening now, all right? But we don't realize it. We don't see it that way. But it is happening. And things are getting worse. They're getting so terrible today that one could say that we see the unclean Ruachoth all about the earth now. And it's only natural because that's who the entire earth is worshiping. Okay. So, but praise YAHUAH. I mean, we have been given a wonderful gift that we should not forsake. We should not be forsaking, because it's something that is so precious that it's only a few. All right. And that is something that we've been chosen from the foundation of the world through Yahushua HaMashiach. If that's the case, we should be very, very thankful. Very thankful. And then with a glad heart and pride, great pride, assume the role that has been given to us through the Messiah. Okay, so let's go to chapter 13. Now, Baruk has been speaking with YAHUAH and asking questions that are very pertinent, and getting answers too about the people of Yasharel. All right, and we can see this conversation as it comes to pass through the Mashiach, and then now as we have, you and I, been born in these last days, but like towards the culmination of the end times. So let's begin. We're in chapter 13 of 2 Baruk, and it says, "And it came to pass that after these things, that I, Baruk, was standing upon Mount Zion, and lo, a voice came from the height, and said unto me, Stand upon your feet, Baruk, and hear the word of El Elohim. Because you have been astonished at what has befallen Zion, you shall therefore be assuredly preserved to the consummation of the times, that you may be for a testimony. So that if ever those prosperous cities say, Why has El Elohim brought upon us this retribution? Say unto them, You and those like you who shall have seen this evil, this is the evil and the retribution which is coming upon you and your people in its destined times, that the nations may be thoroughly smitten. And then they shall be in anguish. And if they say at that time, For how long? You will say to them, Ye who have drunk the strained wine, drink ye also of its dregs. The judgment of the lofty one, who has no respect to persons. On this account he had aforetime no mercy on his own sons, but afflicted them as his enemies, because they sinned. Then therefore were they chastened, that they might be sanctified. But now, ye peoples and nations, ye are guilty, because ye have always trodden down the earth, and have used the creation unrighteously. For I have always benefited you, and ye have always been ungrateful for the benefits." Okay, that's the end of 13. Okay, so he speaks here that he's being called out, that he'll be a testimony for this and the things to come. And speaking upon the evil and the retribution which is coming upon you and upon your people in its destined times, that the nations may be thoroughly smitten. We talked briefly at the end of Bereshith, when Yaakov was giving his prophecy. Yahweh was speaking through Yaakov about the sons of his sons. So Yasharel being through the world. And we talked about briefly some of the paths of Ephraim and Manasseh and YAHUAH, and what we can possibly see today. But no nation today follows the way of YAHUAH. No nation state follows YAHUAH. So the sons are still being afflicted because we are still in rebellion. Although through the grace of YAHUAH, we are being woken up around the world, okay, which is wonderful. It's just such an exciting time to be alive. But it says, on this account he had aforetime no mercy on his own sons, but afflicted them as his enemies because they sinned. That therefore they are chastened, that they might be sanctified. And that's Moshe putting his hand in, and then zerat, which means scourging. Zerah, or leprosy, is how it's put to us, but the zerah of his hand, the scourging of his hand, turned the skin white, like dead flesh. But then puts it back into his fold, all right, his bosom, around his heart, pulls it out, and then it's flesh again. Okay, so that we were chastened that we may be sanctified. Okay, now we're sanctified through Mashiach, right? Mashiach, and who is the Word made flesh? Okay, and we're told by Mashiach, the Word made flesh, that we are sanctified through the truth, which is His Word. So, But he says, now you peoples and nations, you are guilty because you have always trodden down the earth and have used the creation unrighteously. And we see that today. See that even more so, I think, just because we have communication, we know what everything is happening at just about every part of the world today. And what Yah says is, I've always benefited you, and ye have always been ungrateful for the benefits. We have to think about that. Are we ungrateful for the things that he has given to us, especially his word, in saving our lives? Okay, 14, it says, and I answered and said, lo, you have shown me the method of the times in that which shall alter these things, and you have said unto me that the retribution which has been spoken of by you shall come upon the nations. And now I know that those who have sinned are many, and they have lived in prosperity and departed from the world, but that few nations will be left in those times, to whom those words shall be said which you did say. For what advantage is there in this, or what evil, worse than what we have seen befall us, are we expected to see? But again, I will speak in your presence. What have they profited who have knowledge before you, and have not walked in vanity as the rest of the nations, and have not said to the dead, give us life, but always feared you, and have not left your ways? And lo, they have been carried off, nor on their account have you had mercy on Zion. And if the others did evil, it was due to Zion, that on account of the works of those who wrought good works, she should be forgiven, and should not be overwhelmed on account of the works of those who wrought unrighteousness. But who, O YAHUAH, my Adonai, will comprehend your judgment? Or who will search out the profoundness of your way? Or who will think out the weight of your path? Or who will be able to think out your incomprehensible counsel? Or who of those that are born has ever found the beginning or end of your wisdom? For we all have been made like a breath. For as the breath ascends involuntarily and again dies, so it is with the nature of men, who depart not according to their own will, but know not what will befall them in the end. For the righteous justly hope for the end, without fear depart from this habitation, because they have with you a store of works preserved in treasuries. On this account also these without fear leave this world, and trusting with joy they hope to receive the world which you have promised them. But as for us, woe to us, who also are now shamefully entreated, and at that time look forward only to evils. But you know accurately what you have done by means of your servants, for we are not able to understand that which is good as you are our Creator. But again, I will speak in your presence, O YAHUAH, my Adonai. When of old there was no world with its inhabitants, you did devise and speak with a word, and forthwith the works of creation stood before you. And you did say that you would make for your world man as the administrator of your works, that it might be known that he was by no means made on account of the world, but the world on account of him. And now I see that as for the world which we were made on account of, lo, it abides, but we, on account of whom it was made, depart. Okay, that's the end of chapter 14. Now he's asking questions here that, we ask, with all the righteous that are then being, what we see as punished with the wicked, right? But it seems to not be the righteous that YAHUAH sees, but the wicked, okay? But how many are the righteous versus the wicked? Okay. And so he asks that question, though. He goes, well, what have they profited who had knowledge before you, and have not walked in vanity as the rest of the nations, and have not said to the dead, give us life? Okay, said to the dead, give us life. But always feared you, and have not left your ways, and lo, they have been carried off. Nor on their account have you had mercy, because of them, on Zion. And then he says, and if others did evil, it was due to Zion. It was given to Zion because of the evil that they did, that on account of the works of those who wrought good works, she should be forgiven, and should not be overwhelmed on account of the works of those who wrought unrighteousness. He says, why is it looked upon this way and not the way for those who are righteous? Because that's the perspective of Baruk, following the way of YAHUAH. But what is the most here? Okay, do we have more wickedness than righteousness? Well, we can see more wickedness here. And then we have the statement that we were made for the world and not the world for us. So that we were, did you not say that you would make for your world man as the administrator of your works, that it may be known that he was by no means made on account of the world, but the world on account of him. I said that backwards, I apologize. The world was made for us, okay? And that goes directly against the ways of that we have come out of, the way of man, that we are just an insignificant speck in this great totality of a universe that's billions of years old, this huge number that we can't even imagine, that has gone on infinitely that we can't imagine. Okay? The world was made on account of us, because of what Adam and Eve, YAHUAH, did in the Garden of Eden. This world was made. And it is this world that is our proving ground for to whom we choose. Okay, the serpent, hearken to the voice of the serpent, like Adam and YAHUAH, Adam and Eve, or we hearken to the voice of YAHUAH. All right, and then verse 15, and YAHUAH answered and said unto me, you are rightly astonished regarding the departure of man, but you have not judged well regarding the evils which befall those who sin. And as regards what you have said, that the righteous are carried off and the impious have prospered, and as regard what you have said, man knows not your judgment, on this account hear, and I will speak to you, and hearken, and I will cause you to hear my words. Man would not rightly have understood my judgment unless he had accepted the Torah, and I had instructed him in understanding. But now, because he transgressed wittingly, yea, just on this ground that he know thereof, he shall be tormented. And as regards what you did say touching the righteous, that on account of them has this world come, so also again shall that which is to come on their account. For this world is to them a strife and a labor with much trouble, and that accordingly which is to come, a crown with great glory. Excuse me. And now, there's our hope, okay? Through Yahushua HaMashiach that we have been given, that we can now come back, where this group, Yasharel, was divorced and dispersed. We are now brought back together and back into relationship through our shepherd, through our teacher, Yahushua HaMashiach. So he says, you have not judged well regarding the evils which befall those who sin. Now we know it, okay? So he says, man would not have rightly understood my judgment unless he had accepted the Torah, and I had instructed him in understanding. But now because he transgressed wittingly, yea, just on this ground that he know thereof, he shall be tormented. We know. We have accepted his Torah, his instructions. We are seeking righteousness, which is his way. We are seeking that with everything that we have. And we are told everything. Everything that we're seeking, we're given. So for us to know and not do then, or to know and resist, then those grounds just on that, he shall be tormented. And truly, we are. Because when we're still resisting the way of YAHUAH as we are spiritually seeking it, we're physically resisting it. That's really what's happening. We're either not we're not associating in the way that we used to associate with people or things, job, whatever, money. Or we are still giving ourselves over to the fear of come out of this world, which is lack of belief, right? Unbelief. So we are still tortured in this life because we are double-minded. So, but we know, though, that's the thing. We're told these things, what to do in the instructions of YAHUAH that we study every day and then every Sabbath, but then also the words of Mashiach. So we study Torah, study the words of Mashiach, the actions of Mashiach. And then we put the two together and we see what it is to do. Now, if we know it and we transgress it wittingly, then just on this ground, YAHUAH says, on this ground, we shall be tormented. We need to put that into our minds here because, man would not have rightly understood my judgment unless he accepted the Torah. Do you accept the way of Yah? And do you accept it through our doorway, Yahushua HaMashiach? And are you walking as he walked because he's the fulfillment of the Torah, which is love? Then YAHUAH says, and as regards what you did say touching the righteous, that on account of them has this world come, so also again shall that which is to come on their account. For this world is to them a strife and a labor with much trouble, and that accordingly which is to come, a crown with great glory. So is that today? Is that us today? Is this strife and labor for us, this world, being separated from our Creator and Savior in the way of all the time? We have His Ruach HaKodesh, the Ruach Elohim, Ruach YAHUAH, as long as we have a sanctified vessel, right? If we're immersed in His Word. And then we have words of living water or healing coming out of our mouth, which are His words that we were just reading. And we can see around us that how difficult this world is and how dangerous this world is, too, for us. That's why it's so important for us to pull ourselves out of the things that we once knew, because they're all snares and pitfalls and stumbling blocks to us, which bring death, okay? We see the authority of Mosheh, okay, which is the word of YAHUAH given through his prophet Mosheh, his spokesperson, Mosheh. We see the authority here, and that is what we are striving to understand is the way of YAHUAH. We're seeking that. We're seeking righteousness now in these end times with everything that we have. And we have the propitiation given to us so we can enter back into that relationship through the fulfillment of the Torah or the completeness of the way of Yah, the word of YAHUAH made flesh. It's Yahushua HaMashiach, Yahushua our Messiah. So we see these things, we see how challenging because of the distinct difference, the opposites of the world that we have come out of into the way of life. Okay, out of the darkness and prison, the dungeons, into life and life exceedingly, life abundantly, where the yoke is easy and the burden is light once we give ourselves over to the way of YAHUAH. And that means to pull ourselves out of everything that we once had. And that takes time. It's taken me looking at it, knowing that every day is an opportunity to repent, it's taken me a long time. And I'm very thankful that I've had these opportunities, these days in succession, that I can stay in His Word and I can look at my life and say, well, am I giving YAHUAH my best? Am I giving Yahushua my best? We have a short time here. We are but a breath, and that breath vanishes. It's very short. Yeah, what are we doing with that time? Okay, so that's where we're going to stop with Parsha Ve'era, and I hope that the words that we have read, His words, have blessed you as they have blessed me. And I hope that it continues to motivate us all into staying in His Word and immersing ourselves in His way, so that all of our thoughts, all of our words, and all of our actions are that of YAHUAH, or that of Yahushua HaMashiach. Okay, so have a great rest of your day, rest of your week, and have a wonderful Sabbath. And we'll be back here next week with beginnings of another study of the portions of the Torah. Thank you.